Okay, people, welcome back to another episode of the Power Podcast. Tonight we're talking about Raw. Jeez, I just did my Raw one, now I'm all mixed up. This is the one for SmackDown Live from August 23rd. Now let's just jump right into it. So we start off with AJ Styles coming into the back locker room, and Dolph Ziggler sitting there with his head between his legs kind of thing, and AJ's going on about, I'm the face that runs the place. I'm just loving it. He's so cocky, and his ego is just so huge. And the thing is, he could back it up because he's a great wrestler. But anyways, it pisses Ziggler off because AJ gets in his face, and he's like, oh, you're a loser. And then him and Ziggler start going at it. So then we cut to Shane and Daniel. They come to the ring. They announce that there's a women's title and a tag team title. And there will be a tournament for the tag team titles, and the women will have a six women match and this will all culminate at Backlash. Heath Slater comes out and he wants a shot at the gold, but Daniel points out to him, well, you're not a woman and you don't have a tag team partner, so you're not equipped for either one. They tell him if you can find somebody in the back to be your partner and win the tag team tournament, they'll give him a contract. I'm like, Jesus Christ, this is putting this guy through the hoops to get a contract with them. And the fans are just going nuts for him. They're just cheering for him as he comes to the ring, which is fantastic. So he says, okay, I'm going to head to the back right now. He's heading to the back. AJ comes out. They cross paths. AJ looks at him and goes, I'm not going to be your tag team partner. Get the hell out of here. So I got a kick out of that. So as AJ's kind of going, hey, why are we talking about tag team belts and women's belts? And all of a sudden, Ziggler comes out and attacks him. They're broken up, and I think it's announced then that there will be a match with AJ and Ziggler later on in the evening, or if I jumped ahead of myself. So anyways, next up is Becky versus Alexa Bliss. Match ends when Becky hits the disarm her for the submission win. I like watching Becky wrestle, and I must say Alexa Bliss looked a lot better than she did in that crappy 6-women tag match at SummerSlam. I don't think that match should have been on the pay-per-view. I thought it was a filler, and they could have had just Becky versus Natalya for the second or third time. I would have enjoyed that a hell of a lot more. Or brought Nikki Bella in and made it a 3-way. I don't know why they had to put a 6 women in. Like I said, I didn't feel 2 of them or 3 of them were really ready for it. Heath runs into the Miz backstage, and he's kind of thinking that the Miz is talking to him, but Miz is on the phone apparently with Steven Spielberg. Highly doubtful. So he keeps walking off. We go to what do we go to? Now we go to the Ascension versus the Usos. Not a great match. This looked really clunky. It didn't really do anything for me. It didn't get me excited. It's a shame because I think these two tag teams have a lot of potential, especially the Usos. They just didn't seem to really click that. I don't know. That's just probably just me. The Usos do the splash off the top ropes and pin Victor. So, next up, we got AJ Styles comes out and brags about his victory over John Cena. Hashtag beat up John Cena. Ziggler comes out, and then Daniel Bryan announces that they will fight. And if AJ wins the match, he gets a one-on-one with Ambrose at Backlash for the title. And if Ziggler wins, he'll make it a 3-way match at Backlash. So that's going to be a good match to watch later. Next up, we got Carmella versus Nikki Bella. Renee Young comes out to the ring, and she's interviewing Nikki before the match. Carmella beats her down. Nikki's selling her neck injury, or that she's hurt her neck, and there's no match. So that was kind of pointless. They're trying to build them up to having a feud, but they could have still had a match. I think they could have still had a match. Randy Orton comes out next, talks about his SummerSlam match, and you can see the staples in his head. So I don't know if, like I said, when you watch SummerSlam, Brock did catch him with a couple elbows to the head, but I think there was probably a pre-cut before the elbows started hitting. Then Bray Wyatt comes out and talking about Randy's just a man and he's a god. So they're setting up a Bray Wyatt feud, which I think would be pretty good. I think it's the next level for Bray. These younger guys coming up, they're needing to push, and you're going to go against somebody like Randy Orton. You know, if you're going to go over somebody, you're going to go over Orton, you're going to get yourself a good push. Now, Shane's in the back, and he's interviewed, and they're talking about Brock Lesnar. And the interviewer says, well, do you think Stephanie's taking this seriously? And then he says, well, Brock was fined $500, so I don't think Stephanie's taking it seriously at all. Then he mentions that he ain't done with Brock yet. So if you could see a Brock Lesnar versus Shane McMahon match, that would be pretty funny because he'll just bleed and bleed and bleed. Heath is backstage. He was talking to Arn Anderson, and it comes out, and Arn goes, "What? I'm not your first choice? I wasn't your first choice." And he kind of walks away from him. Heath is sitting there all disappointed, and all of a sudden a hand shows up on his shoulder, and it turns out to be Rhino, and Rhino tells him he'll be his partner. So that's, and the crowd cheered. Next up, we have Breezango versus the American Alphas. Actually, a pretty good match considering I don't take Breezango. Oh Christ, Fandango and Breeze. I don't take them seriously as a tag team, but Breeze did a hell of a good job in the ring. There was a spot where he had the one Alpha member in the corner, and he gave him like a super kick to the face, and it looked pretty damn good. And he sells the punches and the kicks and the flip the suplexes really well. The kid does a good job. It's just, I liked his gimmick at first with the selfies and whatnot, but you can't take his costume seriously with all the tassels and everything and the feathery boots. Your winners and advancing American Alpha after they hit the Grand Amplitude. So the tag teams, I can't remember how that's working, if they're all advancing or not. As I go through my notes here, they're a little jumbled. So Dean Ambrose is in the back, and apparently he was at the casino upstairs, and he just heard about AJ versus Ziggler. So he heads on down the ringside, and we have the AJ Styles versus Dolph Ziggler match. It was a few awkward spots with Dolph Ziggler where he was trying to attempt to clothesline AJ Styles out of the ring 3 or 4 times, and their timing was really off, but it just looked awkward. And then Ziggler drop kicks him out of the ring instead. I was just like, ugh. And Ziggler seemed to be like all over the place. Like he was like unsure how to wrestle AJ Styles or something. Like he was doing a bunch of weird moves and like trying to out wrestle. Like I know he has an actual wrestling background, but it just looked awkward when he was doing it with AJ. People like Kurt Angle or Brock Lesnar can pull that kind of stuff off. I just don't think Dolph Ziggler has it in him. A good wrestler, but I don't think he to me, he doesn't have that. He doesn't scream, I have a wrestling background. And there was a bunch of odd times where he trying to pin him in weird holds. I don't know. It was odd to watch. Anyways, the match was pretty good. I enjoyed it. AJ Styles hits the Styles Clash for the win. There's lots of close calls by Ziggler, but in the end, AJ gets the win. So it'll be a one-on-one AJ Styles versus Dean Ambrose for the heavyweight title at Backlash. So yeah, just going back to those tag teams. So the advancing tag teams so far in the tag team tournament were the American Alphas and what was the other one? And the Usos. So, and I think there was 4 more tag teams or something. So next week they'll do their matches and then they'll advance to the semifinals or something. So, yeah, so actually, of SmackDown and Raw, I did prefer SmackDown, and not just because I'm a big AJ Styles fan. I just felt that there was higher quality caliber matches. This AJ Styles versus Ziggler beat whatever they were doing over on Raw. Like Jericho versus Reigns was not the same caliber as AJ and Ziggler. That's just my personal opinion. Not to say that Raw was crap. It was just I really enjoyed SmackDown. I felt SmackDown picked up from their pre-SummerSlam show, which I felt was really laxadoodle, and this was much better. So, anyhow, if you liked my podcast, please follow me on SoundCloud. Just look up the Power Podcast or Glenn Power. You can follow me on Twitter at GlennPower72 or follow me on YouTube. Just look up the Power Podcast. So until next time, take care.